Olivia to kick us off. Okay, thanks very much, Olivia.
Thanks, Fiona. Welcome everyone to our Learning Champion panel today. This is a chance to hear from our mature students. We're very lucky to be joined by a whole group of adult learners today who've very kindly given up some of their time to join us and share their experience with you. So I hope it'll be useful for you to hear from them. So what we're going to do today is we want this to be as interactive as possible. We want you to take part. We want to hear your questions. We want you to get information about what it's like to study in university as an adult learner. And this is how we're going to do it. So the first thing to tell you is that my name is Olivia. I'm a development officer in the Communities and Partnerships team in the Lifelong Learning Centre. I'll put my video on briefly, but I think I'm probably silhouetted against the window. Hello, everyone. We've been working with adult learners for a number of years now, trying to engage communities and support adults to think through their options in higher education. You've also heard from Fiona. I don't know if you want to say hi, Fiona.
I will do, Olivia. My video is just previewing. I'll just have a quick wave. Hi everybody. Nice to see you all. Thank you for coming.
And Casey is also here for the session, who's another of our workers in the Communities and Partnerships team. Do you want to say a quick hi, Casey?
Hi, everyone.
Lovely. And we've also got Jenny and Greg, who are part of our team in the background. Thank you, everyone who's joining us now. Please remember that you can talk to us if you go to the X in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen on the little purple panel. It opens up 4 options, and the first one of these is a speech bubble. So if you click on you can open up the chat panel, and it would be really nice if you would just say hi to us here so that we know that you found the chat. Also, for those of you who are just joining us now, if at any point you want to say something or ask a question, you can see the little person below the slides with their hand in the air. If you click on that, you can then unmute yourself and speak. Oh, lovely. Our learning champions are starting to share their name, course, and what year they're in. So you get a feel for who we've got in the room today, and hopefully that might help you to think about what questions you'd like to ask go along, because you know who's around. Okay. So the Learning Champions are a group of mature and part-time students. Many of them have come to university through a non-traditional route. This quote that you see on the slide here was written by Amy, who was one of the founding members of the Learning Champion group. The Learning Champion scheme has been running for, well, I can't remember how many years, but I'd say if I was going to take a guess, it would be at least 8. And although mature students often have incredibly busy lives, balancing all kinds of responsibilities alongside their studies, I think it's a testament to how passionate people are about sharing their experience with others and about the opportunity that they're making the most of, that they want to share their journeys with you and maybe inspire you to think that higher education might be for you. So I hope that you will be able to get the answers to your questions in this session. And as this quote says, some of the mature students, some of the Learning Champions may have left education early. We've got lots of people who never got to complete their schooling, or they may have been out of education for a long time, but they really support our work with adults in the local community to just help people realise that you can go to university. And the basic message of the Learning Champions work is, if I do it, you can do it. I think that pretty much sums it up. Okay, so Learning Champions can share all kinds of different things about their experience, and what we really want to know is what you'd like to hear about. But they can share things like what their experience of school might have been like, what it's like to study part-time or full-time, how they balance their childcare responsibilities or other caring responsibilities alongside studying. if many of our students work full-time and study part-time, or study full-time and work part-time, or any combination of these, and they are mines of information on how they can manage that around their studies at university. Some of our mature students have got long-term health issues, mental health issues, or may have experienced health problems since coming to university. And it's also very common, we were talking about this in the earlier session, that mature students will have some sort of learning difference. So for example, dyslexia or dyspraxia, that can often be a real key factor in why university might not have been an option earlier. But the experience that adults have gained over the years of maybe working, maybe facing challenges in their lives, raising a family, are all absolutely invaluable, and people don't often realise how transferable those skills are to university. And I think people, oh, Solomon, don't worry about being late. We're very pleased that you can join us. Thanks for coming today. I think one of the main things that Learning Champions will often talk about is what they feel they've gained from studying, and that, I think you'll agree, students, is it can surprise you. What you get out of going to university might not necessarily be what we aim to get out of it when you first joined. Thank you, Shno, for joining us. You're very welcome. And people can also talk about their future plans. So we'd like to hear from you now. We need to know, so that we can adapt what we're going to say to be relevant to you. We need to know what you'd like to hear about. What do you need to know? What do you want to get out of this session? So if you just click on the T at the top of your screen and then click anywhere on the slide. So I'm going to give it a go now. You can start typing, and that could be a question, or it could be something you'd like more information on. So just click on the T at the top and click on the slide and start typing. Alternatively, you can type in the chat if you've already found the chat. Remember, that's the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. If you click on the X, it opens up a speech bubble, and among other things. Or if you prefer, if you put your hand up, you can unmute yourself and ask a question verbally using the audio. So it'd be lovely to hear your voice as well. So you've got any of those options to tell us what you'd like to hear about from our students. Sorry, I've muted myself again. This is the second time I've done this today. Apologies if I'm repeating myself. So just to say that we've got loads of questions here from our participants. I hope you can hear me now, Shno. Sorry about that. I'm not very well today and I keep muting myself by mistake. We've got questions on, do you need to have an end goal? How do I find out what I want to do? How many hours will I be at university? And what about the school holidays? And what about childcare? Who'll help me find the right course? Oh, good. I'm glad you can hear me now. How do I find out what I want to do? So our guidance service should really be able to help you with those. And that sense of, can I do it? I mean, I hope after you've heard from our learning champions today, you'll have more of a sense of actually, yes, you can do it. But learning champions, I'm sorry again, I was muted, I think, when I was saying this before. If you want to make a note of some of these questions and issues, because when we move on, we won't be able to see these anymore, and just think through which ones most relate to your experience so that you can answer some of these questions and some of these worries in your talks. So we've also got practical questions about, do you use books or computers, and how do you find the best website? So it might, there's questions around those kinds of academic skills and using the resources of the library. And a really good question there about the diploma in level 3 teaching assistant. So just to reiterate, our advice and guidance service, which we'll talk about at the end and let you know how to book a telephone appointment, is very much there to help you make an informed decision about what options are open to you. So for example, what you can do with a level 3 qualification, and often people are surprised that actually they have what they need to go straight into university. Okay, I think, Casey, I'm going to hand over to you now, if that's all right, to start introducing some of our learning champions.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, Olivia. Hi, everybody. That was a fantastic slide. I think everyone really got into that question there. It was really good. So we're going to go on to introduce some of our learning champions who are current students at the University of Leeds, and they will just give you a little bit of an overview of their own experience. And as we know, it's always better to hear from the horse's mouth, isn't it, really, about learning and about some challenges and obstacles that people have to kind of navigate around as well. So hopefully from what we've just seen on the screen, our learning champions are just kind of digging around with some ideas of what they can share. But what we'll do is we'll start with Wendy. If you're all right, Wendy, to us off.
No problem. So hi, I'm Wendy. Lived most of my life in Africa. When I finished O-levels, that shows how old I am. I thought that I would like to go to university. I wanted to become a lawyer, but doing that in Africa was quite difficult, and quite costly. So instead I decided at 17 to start work, because I had 3 other siblings to come into school after me, and you pay for schooling and everything over there. So I went into my first job at 17, which was an air traffic control assistant, and I could get in with O-levels. I had 6 O-levels, and basically I worked, apart from the 2 times that I had my children, I basically worked my entire life, and sort of thoughts of university really went out of my head. And then 5 years ago, whilst I was working for a company, Leeds City Council, I was a volunteer coordinator. So I had 200 volunteers across 9 museums and galleries that I was working with or involved with. And I received a leaflet from the university intended for the volunteers, talking about something called the Jumpstart course. And some of you may have heard of it. And at the time, it was 10 different sessions over 10 weeks. In the evenings, you could go along and do a taster session. And I thought, well, I'm probably too old to go to university anyway, and I probably won't be able to afford it, but I'll go to these because it's free. So I applied. I was called in for a chat, and I was told that possibly with the amount of work experience that I had, the jumpstart probably wasn't really for me. But instead, they got me onto something else called PHE, or Preparation for Higher Education, which is like an access course, and it does exactly what it does on the tin. So I got onto that. I think I had the last place on that, which was starting in the 2 weeks. Didn't even have time to sort of really think about it, and it was nice because it was 2 evenings a week and 1 Saturday a month, so it allowed me to continue working full time. And of course, I arrived for the first evening class. I was full of trepidation, thinking I was going to be the grandmother of the class. And I looked at the building and it looked so posh, and I thought, oh my goodness, am I really supposed to be here? But the minute that I stepped through the door and I met the tutor and I met other people in my class, that was soothed, because I mean, I had somebody in the class who was in their 70s already, but the tutor was very welcoming, and it changed my life. It changed my image of schooling, really. And I've just gone from strength to strength, because we did that. I think that was 9 months, and then got into I'm doing professional studies, and I suddenly looked at the world totally differently. I started questioning stuff that I'd never questioned before, and it just changed me as a person. I'm a totally different person to when I started 4 years ago. One of the things I will say was somebody put the question on there about how many hours are you at uni? And what I always say to people is that if you're doing this full time, you need to think of it as a full-time job. So you need to think that I need at least 30 to 37 hours a week, because you've got your time in uni, which may only be 10 to 12 hours, but then there's, doing your research, it's doing your assignments. It's not all plain sailing, it's not all easy, but if it's something that you really want to do, you will make it happen. You will find ways around keeping up with your work. You'll manage your time. You will learn the skills from that skills team. There's skills teams around that will teach you time management, organizational skills. And somebody says, can I do it? And I say, absolutely. I'm testament to that. At 59 years old, I am graduating this year, and if I can do it, so can you.
Oh wow, thank you, Wendy. Thank you very much. That was really great start to our Learning Champions panel here. You've just added so much in there. I'm just picking up on you started with the PHE, which is the part-time evening, and the kind of transformation it's had with you has obviously been really apparent for you in your life, and you've also had a full life and a full career before coming to university as well. So I think that's really encouraging for adults who are more mature and a bit older in life, that are thinking, can I go to uni? Is this for me? That was really lovely to hear, Wendy. Thank you. And you are right, full-time, you do need to kind of treat full-time study as a full-time job, but for those who choose part-time, they can work alongside as well, and there is some flexibility in that. But yeah, good point. It is good to save some of them days, isn't it, to just spend in the library or spend committed to your study. But thank you. I wish we were face to face so we could all give you a round of applause. But I'll give you one. Lovely.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, you're right. Yay. So we'll go on to Russell now. Russell, so if you're all right to be next up on our Learning Champion panel, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, with pleasure. Well, my name's Russell. I'm a second-year professional studies student. My path was a slightly different one into university. About 5-6 years ago now, I went through a period of unemployment. Didn't have any way in training except for me GCSEs from school, and I ended up doing a community learning program with the Carding Centre. I studied childcare, and what I found from doing that was I seemed to enjoy the process of learning more than the job itself. It was nice to be back in an academic environment. After 2 years of training, I got a letter for a leaflet from Jumpstart from my tutor. Now, to those of you that don't know too much about Jumpstart, it's a free unit that lasts about 12, 13 weeks, I believe. Each session is a little bit different every time, a little bit of taste of everything that goes on at the uni. And from there, I ended up coming to I had a bit of a gap out, and I came to a couple of taster sessions, and it was quite interesting. It's worth noting, up until that point, I was an incredibly reserved and shy person. You wouldn't have got me talking on here to you guys right now. So shy. And I'm sure Fiona and Olivia probably remember what I was like when I did the course with them a few years ago. I wouldn't put my hand up. I was quiet, sat in the corner, didn't talk to anybody. And eventually I jumped into it. I didn't do the PHE course at the time. I got a bit of impatience on my part. I couldn't wait to jump in proper. But I know quite a lot of my classmates who've done PHE and speak really highly of it. I want to touch on a comment somebody made on the page about end goals. You hear many people talk about end goals, about how they come to university to do a particular job or a particular task. For the likes of myself and some other people I know, the end goal is actually coming into education itself, the environment, the learning, trying to find a direction instead of having one already. So if you find that you're wanting to do university but don't really know what you want to do after, don't be ashamed by this. It's a wonderful way to build your character and build some skills and find direction. I'm finding now, only at the end of my second year, that I'm starting to look now and think, what do I want to do after this? What sort of career, what sort of environment do I want to go into? And I can't really say much more than that, really. Yeah, so anybody got any questions for me later on? I'll happy to answer them in chat. Thank you.
Oh, thanks so much, Russell. That was really great. And, you know, I can't agree more, really. You know, if you don't have an end goal, it's definitely nothing to be ashamed of. And it can be that can be something that kind of clouds people's judgment about whether to move forward because they can't see the exact location where they want to end up. It can be really off-putting to think that it's not a journey worth starting. But we've got example after example of adults who really don't know what they want to do, but then go on to really thrive as students and really thrive at university. So yeah, great advice. Thanks so much for covering some of those points, Russell. I just wondered if we could go on to Suma now, if that's all right, Suma.
Yes, I'm here. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me? Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. All right. My name is Suma. I was born in Malaysia, so first of all, English is my second language. I've always wanted to study. I've always had the craving to learn, but until I started university, I did not realize I was dyslexic, and I also have dyspraxia. I started my journey. I gave up work because I took care of my two daughters. I suffered from postnatal depression, so I couldn't go back to work. When my daughters were in high school, I decided to look for a job. I went everywhere looking for work, but in every reference, nobody was interested. Then one day I walked into Leeds Job Centre and I saw Fiona. She was actually talking about university, mature age studying, and she talked about Jumpstart. And like Russell and Wendy, I did Jumpstart as well. I got there and I thought, oh, I'm not going to be able to do this. and I can't, my English is terrible. How am I going to do this? But, you know, the encouragement, the staff, everybody was so supportive, and they all had this "you can do it" attitude. And I used to think, oh no, there's no chance I can do that. But lo and behold, I did. And I've just completed my first year of professional studies after doing preparation for higher education with Lynn. And I've decided to do a business pathway. And I'm loving it. I love every minute of it. And I think someone had this, can I do it? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Don't doubt yourself. If you're here, that means there is part of you that want to learn. And I think you can, we all can do it if we put our minds to it. The other thing I wanted to say as well is, as for the number of hours you put into it, it all depends on your life, how things are, and it's bizarre how you find the time to learn. You will find it, and the more you get into it, the more you start to discover yourself. You start to know who you are and what you want, and you know, and you just find yourself. That's about it. Thank you. If you've got any questions, I'm here. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Suma. Thank you so much. You've all been really fantastic. All of our learning champions are always fantastic, and you all bring something slightly different because everyone's life experience is different. But I hope, you know, what people are saying does resonate with some of the adults who are exploring learning for the first time or thinking about returning to education. And I just pick up the Suma when you mentioned about kind of, you know, that meeting at the job centre. You know, you obviously had it in you to take or look for opportunities, and I think that's part of the process, is kind of looking for ways and new opportunities that come across your path. And often we don't know where things are going to lead.
Yeah.
We don't know if doing that new thing is going to lead to anything that we absolutely love.
Yeah.
The unknown, isn't it, really?
Yeah. For me, I think I see it as, Fiona, as my sliding door moment. You know, when we have you come to a point where you have to make a decision depending on which way you go. And for me, I think I opened the right door. That's all I can say.
Oh, and I'm sure Fiona will be absolutely thrilled that she's involved in your sliding door moment, because it's an absolute pleasure to be involved in you know, in the learning journeys of all of our adult students. But yeah, that's a great analogy, actually. Kind of that opportune moment, isn't it? Am I going to take this opportunity, or, you know, yeah, am I going to jump in with both feet and give it a go? But I do love as well, you know, you're a very tenacious person, because you've been able to, I suppose, overcome a language barrier, and there is a lot of fear with English as an additional language, and being able to, you know, feel as though you're developing with that enough to go on to study. So well done. I think you've overcome a big hurdle there, and being able to go on to university with English as a second language. So that's really fantastic.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And I know a few people have mentioned Jumpstart already. This is a free 10-week Easter course that we run a couple of times a year. And it really is, it's a community, and it's an opportunity to be heard and to learn some new ways of thinking, and really to challenge yourself as well. But it's a very empowering 10 weeks that really does kind of start to open up new ways of learning and new opportunities in education as well. So do ask us a bit more about that if you're interested. But I think we'll go on to this interactive slide now. So if you want to, in the using the T button at the top, the blue T button, you want to put your answers on the screen. So what have you learned from these last three learning champions? We've had Wendy, We talked about coming from the workplace. We've had Russell, who spoke about coming from the community organisation, the Cardigan Centre, and then Suma, who met Fiona in the in the job centre, and then went on to do Jumpstart. So if you could just put any comments or anything that surprised you in this whiteboard, that would be great. Or if you want to write it in the chat, we can also transfer it across. That's great. Thank you for adding those. You can keep adding them for another few seconds if you like. But just to read some of these out, what people have kind of reflected on from them talks, where, you know, the Jumpstart, that's been mentioned a couple of times now. It's a real confidence booster and a confidence builder as Jumpstart. We've got people from all walks of life. You know, people do sound motivated. It's obvious that it's not too late to learn. Obstacles are being overcome. Age is not a worry, you know, in returning to education. Some really, really great answers there. Thank you for participating in that. And then Russell's comment about the end goal, definitely. Yeah, that's really stuck out for me as well, actually, is that, you know, we don't have to know all the answers about our future to take the next step, really, because otherwise that can become an excuse, I think, or a justification for not moving forwards. When we know we're capable, or we want to discover if we're capable, we have got to take that step of faith in a way. But yeah, very motivating. Thank you all three. But I'm gonna hand over to my colleague Fiona now, who will take us on the next few Learning Champions. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Casey. Yeah, the way we thought we'd structure this was we'd hear from our Learning Champions in two groups, really. So we're going to now hear from our other Learning Champions who haven't spoken yet. And just, again, please do introduce yourselves and say your course and, you know, anything that you'd really like to get over to people about your learning journey or what made you think about university. So I think, Anna, could we start with you?
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Anna. I've just finished my third year of doing professional studies full time. So, like Wendy said, you know, you're in sort of between 8 and 10 hours a week, but there is a lot of other work to do outside of that. But for me, I never even thought I'd come to university. So the fact that I finished 3 years does show that you can do it and that you can fit it in. I had part-time work and a family, you know, and getting my child to school and back and all the events at school, and I still managed to do all those things along with my studies. I actually went back when my daughter was 2. I went back to school, as I call it, to study functional skills, maths and English, just to sort of get my brain going again a little bit. I'd always struggled with maths at school, absolutely hated it, didn't really like school actually. And I'd found out once I got to university why that was. But I persevered anyway, and I did my maths and my English, eventually getting my maths GCSE that I never achieved at school. And my tutor actually said one day something about when you're at university, and I said, I'm not going to university. And he was absolutely gobsmacked. He just couldn't understand why I wouldn't do that as my next step. I was actually fortunate enough to meet somebody on the maths course that was doing the PHE at Leeds Uni, and I went for the GCSE maths evening, and I think I met Fiona and Olivia there, and I think somebody's already mentioned the confidence that those two gave you, that you could do anything. I kept saying, oh, I can't do it because of this, and I can't do it because of that, and they were going, well, you could do this, or they were, you know, they always had an answer, something positive to make you think, maybe I could do that. So I did 3 days of summer school 3 years ago. And on the first day, I thought, I'm not really sure this is, what am I doing here? You know, this is not for me. And then the second day, we had a tour around campus, and it just made it seem a little less scary and a little bit more, maybe I would like it here. And then on my third day, we had a taster of some sessions. There was science and professional studies, social sciences, and it was so interesting. I just fell in love with Catherine and professional studies, so that's what I chose. And that was mainly because I'm one of those people that doesn't know what they want to do when they grow up. So I think I need to grow up first, and then I might know. But professional studies just fit me to a T. It was absolutely everything. Things I'd always spoken about, but not, or thought about, but didn't really have others to speak to about these thoughts. And then all of a sudden you're in a class with sort of like-minded people, people that could challenge your thinking or make you think of things you've never thought of before, looking at it from a different point of view, because you meet so many different people with so many different experiences. And so, yes, I do think anybody's capable of doing it. I think we're all capable of doing anything now. And the support that you get from the LLC just spurs you on at every turn. And in the 3 years, some of my friends had some difficulties, and the LLC were there, and they managed to sort it out for them. And I kept thinking, they won't be able to solve this one, but they always did. So they're definitely a great help. I think somebody put on the slide about academic skills and sort of reading online and things. For me, I prefer to read online, but if you don't, then obviously there are the libraries. Should everything get back up and running. But doing my dissertation in lockdown was great fun. So I just think if you can do that and do all your learning and everything online whilst being, you know, in these circumstances, you can do it, definitely. And somebody mentioned school holidays. For me, professional studies fit in brilliantly. Even though it was full time, I had all the same holidays off as my daughter. So that's not to say we were off, but at least I was at home with her, and I could do my studying around that as well. And I'd usually, as my partner came in from work, I'd go and do some studying. And I think it's important to keep on top, even if you just read for 10 minutes. You feel like you're on top of it then, rather than not doing it. What else was I going to say? I've just written down, yes, you can do it, because somebody said, can they do it? And also the doubt, like you doubt you can do it. What am I doing here? I don't know as much as everybody else, or whatever your doubt is. But the opposite of doubt is conviction and confidence, and that is what university gives you. Definitely. And also, last thing, halfway through my first year, I found out I'm dyspraxic, and I had always wondered throughout school, because I found it difficult to learn the same way. Everybody seemed to learn the same way, and I found it really difficult that way. But when I did my maths, my tutor taught me different ways to learn it, and that's when I started to think, oh, I can learn it. I just learn it differently. Something might take me a bit longer, or bring different results, or sometimes a bit more creative. I find a different way around something. So basically, you can do it, and go for it. And I'm going to shut up.
Anna, that was fantastic. Thank you so much. You covered so many brilliant points there. A few things that really stood out for me. I liked the way that you talked about taking things step by step about getting into uni. And also, you didn't know whether you needed your GCSEs or not. And I know that's come up in the chat a bit as well. So you usually need some, just really to tell everybody, you usually need some kind of level to maths and English to get into uni. The GCSEs in maths and English are usually the best things to have, but you might have functional skills, or sometimes you might not have a qualification. And in that case, you might be able to do an alternative entry test called a matriculation that we run here at Leeds. It all depends on the entry requirements for the degree you want to go into. So some degrees will accept our alternative maths and English tests, and other degrees will require a maths and English GCSE and maybe another GCSE. That's why we'd always say do make a commitment to see one of our guidance officers for some individual advice and guidance. And also, Anna, you mentioned you're studying professional studies degree, and I'll just tell everybody that we are doing a taster session in that on the 7th of July next week. So next Tuesday at 4 o'clock, I believe. So you're very welcome to come along. Okay, thank you so much, Anna. I'm going to ask another learning champion to speak now. So Mason, would you be happy to speak next?
Yes, sure. Hi, Fiona.
Hi.
Yeah, Anna's covered a lot of good points really there. Well, my name is Mason, and I'm a third year professional studies student as well. I'm a full-time student, a single mom with 3 children. I studied level 3 teacher assistant at Leeds City College, and then I did an online level 4 teacher assistant, and I've been working as a teacher. I was working as a teacher assistant for 10 years, supply teacher assistant before joining university. The reason how I came across knowing this course and joining university was through a friend of mine who joined the university. Was studying at the LLC at the time. She was aware that I was interested in going back to studying and just wanting, being at school and just going at school and talking to different teachers and head teacher. I remember my head teacher was saying, you know, why, Mason, don't you think about getting a degree and taking this further on to being a teacher, or just, you know, moving ahead with your career? And I knew that probably getting was going to be the next step, but I wasn't brave enough to go ahead with it. I just wasn't sure if it was the right time. I had a lot of health complications at the time, and with the children, I just kept pushing it aside. And one day I was diagnosed with an illness, and I think that was my sliding door moment, where I just thought I just want to really do something for myself, and maybe this is the right time to go and get the degree. Really, I just wanted to do it at the time. I just wanted to do something for myself. It wasn't about anybody else really. It was about me. Yeah, I went to university and spoke to Mohammed first, and then spoke to Catherine, and I just loved it all. The atmosphere was absolutely amazing, and I was thrilled to join in. I did not have any. Well, I had some English GCSE, but they were quite old. They were like 20 years old when I went to university. I went to uni to start this degree. I was 40 years old, so my GCSEs were quite old. But I did the, I can never pronounce this word, the matriculated English and maths test. And I entered by doing this. English for me is my second language as well. So yeah, so I had a few challenges that was worrying me. First of all, it was my health issue. Then obviously dealing with finance. I didn't want to take any loans, and then it was the childcare. But with regards to the finance, because I know some of you have put that down, I went and spoke to the finance advisor at the LLC, and she made it clear that it's nothing to worry about. Taking a student loan will not affect your credibility, or it's not really, it's not, if anything happens to you, you know, it's not a debt that's going to be hanging around. Well, it's like if you die, it just goes away with you. It wipes off. Nobody has to pay it. And you take it like paying a tax. Once you graduate and you're earning over so much, you only pay really a minimum amount. So it's not something that you need to worry about or think about. It's not going to affect any of your finance or anything else. So that was promising, and just wanting to know that I will have enough money to obviously maintain myself and the children during the course was another thing, which as a full-time student applying for a student maintenance loan gave me enough to carry me through the 3 years, really. I got a child grant for childcare for my little daughter for after-school clubs, so that was great. And during the course itself, as they said before, all the modules that you do through the LLC do have school holidays off as well. So that was really great, because I had the chance to stay at home with the kids. Unless you're doing a discovery module that's on a different school, they might be still working during that time. But other than that, yes, you will have that off. So coming from a teacher assistant background, when I joined first the professional studies, to be honest, I didn't have any main goal. My main goal was just graduating. I just wanted to graduate. I didn't have an idea what I was going to do next, or anything, or even what I wanted to study. But because I was coming back from an educational background, I've joined the child care studies, child and family studies for the first year. But then after that, I've realized, browsing through the discovery modules at the university, that there was a lot of other very interesting modules I was interested in. And then I thought, why don't I just do a change of career and do something different? I've started picking up different discovery modules and just making my own bouquet, as they want, what kind of traits and skills I wanted to take off and have. But it was more towards the business side. So I was doing like coaching and mentoring and human resources and stuff like that, which I really quite enjoyed. So I think this is for me, was a really good thing. The fact that the flexibility within the course, and the fact that you can change halfway through if you're not sure of what you want to do, or even any time you want to change your pathway or the modules. There is some obviously compulsory modules that you have to complete, but you can always take discovery modules to tailor it towards your interests. So that was really good. That's it really for me. I think, yeah. Sorry, I'm a bit tired today, so.
Oh, you were fantastic, Mason. Thank you so much for making the effort to come along if you're particularly not feeling 100%.
No, I wouldn't miss it. I enjoy it. It gives me some energy and positive energy. So I always love to do it.
That's fantastic. Again, there were loads of amazing things that you said there. I think what stood out for me is how, like, you mentioned being a single mum with 3 kids, and you're juggling it all, you're fitting it all in. And also that college was a great starting point for you. Lots of people are doing courses at college and then come to us because it's a great way of just finding out what you think about studying before you commit to a degree. And
exactly,
I think, yeah, thank you. And I think you made some great points about finance. And as Wendy also said in the chat, don't see it as investment. Sorry, don't see it as a debt. See it as an investment.
It is an investment, definitely, yeah. And I didn't know I had any learning disabilities. I've never had any learning disabilities, but as a result of my health difficulty, I've developed learning disabilities, which was diagnosed through my course as well, and through university. So that was for me an added bonus, because I received a lot of help through tutoring and software and many things that did help me accomplish and complete my course. I wouldn't have done the course otherwise. So the support that you get through even the disability student finance as well, you get financial help as a student with a disability, as in softwares and stuff that will help you get through your course. And I think that was a great help, especially with the reading and the writing for me. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mason. Yeah, we do have a great deal of support at the Lifelong Learning Centre.
It's amazing, yeah.
And it is, yeah, it's important for people to know that all the way, and it's there all the way through your degree. Thank you, Mason. I'm going to move on to.
Okay, right there.
Oh, thank you. I'm going to move on to our next learning champion. I'm going to ask Helen if she would like to tell us a bit about herself and what course she's doing. So over to you, Helen.
Hi everyone, I'm Helen, and I am just about finishing up my third year of the foundation degree in learning and teaching, and in September we'll be starting my top-up degree in the same. I came to Leeds, University of Leeds more through having finished. I had to leave my dream job due to illness, and was going back to Leeds City College to complete my maths and English O-levels, because at the time I left school with no qualifications whatsoever. I found it really hard. I wanted to learn and I was excited about learning, but I just could not retain the information or reproduce it in exams. So I went away, I've done lots of different stuff, got my dream job, and after 12 years had to leave. And it was like, what am I going to do? And I've always worked with children, and I decided I wanted to work in a school for a bit of a change. So I went and got my maths and English GCSE, and it was there that I met Fiona and Olivia on the two occasions, because they came to both classes. And they started talking about going to university, and I sat there going, yeah, I'm 47, 48, I'm too old. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to get, I don't have the money to pay for it. So I thought I'd have a little chat with them, and literally every single barrier that I had put up against going to university for myself, they tore down. They just said, no, you can. You are never too old. You will get your student finance. This is how you'd be able to do it. This is how you potentially are going to pay it back, and you can do it, which was really exciting for me, because I have, really loved learning, although not a good school experience. So that was in the June. In September, I started in first year child and family studies programme, and having met Mohammed, the guidance counsellor, I did that for a year and I absolutely loved it, but the second year wasn't kind of going in a direction that I wanted to do. So I then switched over to learning and teaching. So technically I've been in LLC for 4 years already, and I work 4.5 days a week. Wednesday afternoons this year has been university day, so I finish at school at noon. I'm a teaching assistant for a one-to-one child. I cross the road because I work quite close to university, and that's when I get my learning. And I love saying to the kids, see you later, see you tomorrow, I'm going to school now. And just the look of sort of disbelief on their faces is great. But I think it's a good example for them to see adults going to university and coming into contact with people. It's a slog at times. I do 4 hours in class, but as I think Wendy said, and Suma and Anna, you are having to do a bit more than just the 4 hours, and I truly believe that you you get out of it what you put in. And I make time for myself on the weekends to do it. I've also come to find that the reason that I struggled so badly at school is I too have been diagnosed with dyslexia and dyspraxia. And I have a wonderful, wonderful academic tutor who I see once a week. I get an allowance from disability on the disability students allowance, and she helps sort out all the things I want to say. She helps me organise them into my essays and helps me organise myself, and we set tasks, and it's great support. Just like everyone at the LLC, I had a question for Paul about finance last week, dropped him an email. Within the day, he emailed me back. So these guys want nothing more than for you to succeed. And I think it's just a brilliant place. Even if you just come in and try a taster session or talk to the guidance people, just have a go. You've got nothing to lose, and just give it a go. I think it's one of the best things that I've done, and my end goal is in 2 years hopefully finish my BA, and then I've already got plans for my masters. And this is from a kid who wasn't ever going to go to university, as one of my teachers told me. So there you if I can do it, you can.
Thank you so much, Helen. Again, so inspirational. I love that. You know, like, what have you got to lose? Give it a go. And you can see from all of our learning champions, there's so much people get out of studying that perhaps you didn't expect when you started. It's so much about the kind of richness of learning and the development. And again, yeah, Helen, thanks for mentioning that you came through Leeds City College. You did a level 3 in childcare and supporting teaching and learning. That's sort of a route into university, and also you were so clear about how your studying fits in with your life, which is brilliant. And you're studying part-time, so 4 hours tuition a week, but you obviously have to do all your studying as well. But thank you very much. I'm now going to invite Sabai to tell us a little bit about herself. So Sabai, are you all right to just introduce yourself and tell us a bit about your course and then a little bit about your learning journey?
Hi everyone, I'm Sabai Sood, and first of all, English is my second language, so it's nice to meet other learning champions who have English as an additional language. It's really nice because I've always thought or got into myself into believing that this is a major barrier for me, and somehow made me or impacted on my confidence. But yes, I'm just thinking lots of amazing points has been covered. I did a cash level 3 teaching assistant at Leeds City College, and I met Fiona and Olivia there, but I realized after coming to the tester session for teaching and learning that I needed to do my GCSE English, so I didn't join straight away. So I did that, and then the following year I did summer school, which was fantastic. And then after that I applied for the foundation degree teaching and learning part-time. As long as you make it a target for yourself you want to achieve, it is possible. It's not easy, and there'll be lots of challenges. For example, myself, I have 3 children, a teenager and a husband, so there will be lots of challenges, situation, but that doesn't mean there to stop you from progressing or finishing what you've started off or you're planning to start. So yes, I didn't have a job. I was only volunteering in the school that I'm working now. And through university, I was helped to fill in forms for, job application to prepare me for the job interview, which I never thought I would get the job, to be honest, but I did. And I have a paid job now, and I'm doing very well. So yes, it's doable. It's doable. It's only 4 hours, as Helen said. It's only 4 hours you physically have in the session, but you have got to, set time to do your studies and, make it a priority. If you make it a priority, then yeah, it's doable and you will enjoy. I am enjoying, and as I said, Lifelong Learning Centre is my second home. Fiona and Olivia are like a member of my family, to be honest. Yeah, I have a mental health issue. I suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, and even when I was in college, I struggled, to complete my courses, and I could see myself that struggling, not learning the way how others are, but they couldn't send me for a diagnosis or anything. I used to get one-to-one support, but coming to university, I was helped to get assessed, and I've come up with, dyslexia, dyspraxia, ADD, possibly ADD. So now knowing that I've got all these, learning difficulty, it explains to me how I could walk things around, what kind of strategies to put in place to help me achieve what I'm setting out to achieve. And it's doable. It's great, honestly. If I can do it, you can do it as well. I'm 40 years old now, so go for it. I think I'm done.
Oh, thank you so much, Sabai. Thank you so much for your inspirational words and your honesty. I think we really, really appreciate hearing from you. And I think it's so important for other people to hear that you can study at university and get the right support with things like mental health issues and learning differences and just different ways of learning. And
yeah, just to add in, Fiona,
yeah.
I have a mental health mentor, so which I get to see them before the lockdown. I get to see her on a weekly basis, which it does help me alongside with the community mental health nurse support. So yeah, there is quite a huge support.
That's excellent to know. Thank you so much for that, Sabaya, and great to know that you've got that ongoing support from the university as well as from the community in the health service. And also, you mentioned that English isn't your first language, and I'm just so full of admiration for people who are studying and have built their English up from ESOL. So you've done just amazingly well. And also you mentioned that you did childcare level 3 at college, and that was a way in to your degree, and that you're studying part-time. So again, I think the message is really so much that you can do it. And what you said, Sabaya, about prioritizing, it's prioritizing yourself, isn't it, and what you want out of your life. So that was fabulous. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you for inviting me in.
Thank you. And I think we have all our learning champions who are able to have to speak. So I'm just going to also say thank you to Karen, who's helping us with the chat. She's one of our students as well, but unfortunately she hasn't got audio today. So just to say thank you to Karen. So we're going to just move on to the next slide now, which is, again, like last time, just for our participants, is there anything that you've learned, anything that surprised you, having heard from our learning champions? Do you just kind of have a think and reflect on anything that you've heard that has made you think, oh, well, actually, maybe I can do it because of this or this? Do you feel free to add it on the whiteboard, and then we'll have a chance for question and answers after this, because I know we're slightly running out of time. So we're starting to get some words up there, which is excellent. We've got age is no barrier, absolutely. People think I can't go to university because I'm too old, but that's really not the case. And really, the older you are, the more life experience you have, and that's something our tutors really, really appreciate. Our tutors love having adult students because people have got life experience to offer, have got skills that perhaps younger people might still be developing. We've got incredibly motivating, absolutely. Variety of difficulties people have overcome, absolutely. You'll get lots of help. I think that is one of the main messages. There is a lot of help. Nothing is impossible. Oh, that's just a fantastic thing to put. Language is not a barrier, absolutely. No such thing as can't. So loads of really, really positive messages. Amount of support and help available reassures me with my issues. Well, that's great to know. That's really good. The tutors want you to succeed, absolutely. I think that's something that we can really say at the Lifelong Learning Centre. We just want everybody to be able to do their best, and our job is to enable you to do that. You'll get lots of help. Finance problems shouldn't stop you, absolutely. That's why we would also say on the finance problems or finance issues, do get individual advice and guidance, because we want you to weigh up your situation before you make the decision to apply for university. But for lots of people, it's not as bad as they thought on the financial side. It's often quite a pleasant surprise. We've got it's an amazing experience and not one to be missed. Oh, disability is not a barrier, absolutely. That's so important. And I must say universities, and Leeds University in particular, has got a great deal of support for disabilities of every type. Having children and finance problems shouldn't stop you, absolutely. I would say nearly all our students have got children, and it all fits in. Great friendships are formed. That's such an important one. I think sometimes people don't always expect to make huge friends when they start a course, but gradually it sometimes becomes the most important thing. And Karen's put in the chat, new friends and a whole life really since starting last year, which is just fantastic. Being the best version of you, that's amazing. It is about opportunities, life-changing. So loads and loads of wonderful things. So thank you so much, everybody, for adding all those things. Yeah, educational background should not stop you. And we believe that so strongly because we understand that there are so many structural factors in life that might have stopped people getting to where they want to be. But we can give people the right advice and guidance to find out what their options are, and absolutely anyone can go to university. Okay, that's absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for that. We're going to just move on to the next slide, which is really just if there's anything we haven't covered. So is there anything else you'd like to know from our Learning Champions? We're going to round off in just a minute because I know we're running a little bit late, but maybe we've covered everything. Any other questions? Do write them up or put them in the chat or raise your hand if you would like. Well, I think actually our amazing Learning Champions have covered everything. Oh no, Wendy, please do speak, Wendy.
Sorry, Fiona, if you can also let people know that there's a Facebook page that they can sign up to for mature students returning to study.
Oh, thank you very much, Wendy. That's a great point. Yeah, we have a kind of friendly and welcoming Facebook page that is open access, and it's called Return to Study. It's part of the Lifelong Learning Centre Facebook page, and we'll send the link to you in a document that we'll send on after this session. And that's a great place if you're thinking after the session today, oh, I've got more questions. So please do look that up, and you can talk to Wendy and other of our Learning Champions after the session. Oh, Casey, thank you. You put it in the chat. So it's facebook.com/groups/return to study. Okay, well, I think if nobody has got any other questions, I think we will look at wrapping it up from here. So just the final slide is whether anyone's got any feedback they'd like to share with us. We're also going to send you an evaluation and to see what you thought of the session today, and we've got a poll that will appear on the screen in just a minute, so please do answer it, saying what you thought of the session. And just I would like to thank all of our learning champions for sharing their journeys and being so honest and just their inspirational words today. So thank you very much, everybody. So there might be a few more things I just need to say. So before you go, we have got sessions continuing on for the rest of the summer school. So let me just have a quick look. So tomorrow we've got a taster in our Arabic and Middle Eastern and Islamic Studies degree. That's at 4 o'clock tomorrow. We've also got a session on Friday called Studying as a Mature Student, which will be really interesting. That's at 2. And then next week, we've got more sessions. We've got a session for our Learning and Teaching part-time degree. We've got our Professional Studies taster, which I mentioned before. So if anyone's got any questions about them, please do ask now, but please feel free to sign up. And we've got our final taster session for our Preparation for Higher Education course, which is on Thursday the 9th, and then we've got a closing session for the summer school on the 10th. So brilliant, we've got the poll now, so please do pop your responses on there. That's fabulous. And when you've done that, I don't think there's anything else I need to mention. Casey or Olivia, do remind me if there is.
I don't think so. I just wanted to chip in to say thank you again to all our learning champions. You've been so generous in sharing your experience today, and it's fantastic to hear your journeys. I mean, I've found it really inspiring. I hope all our participants have too. And please do join us for more of the summer school sessions over the next week or so. We'd love to have you taking part in as much as you can. So thanks, everyone.
Thanks very much for that, Olivia. And just to let you know how to leave the session, on the left-hand side, there's a little tab on the top left with 3 lines. If you click on that, a panel will open, and at the bottom of the panel, it says leave session. So do feel free to leave now. So thanks very much. Oh, just one final thing. I've noticed Greg has put our guidance information in the chat. So if you'd like to book a guidance appointment, please do that. There'll also be a link to book our guidance, to book a guidance appointment that we'll send you. Okay, thank you.
Well done, folks. Sorry for being on mute again.